Okay. Yeah, so back to which episodes actually got like the most.
Red Flags, right?
Red
I
Flags
scrolled
was the
all the way
top
up.
one. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we're actually getting a mix of YouTube audience too. But I think
Mm.
that's one of the people that I've invited. So that they've taken a look at since like I have the whole list on one of the channels anyways and I just post there like right away. I get that one. Very recently we've had a 28 to 34-year-old viewer. Also
Was that the
female
person who
to my
joined?
knowledge. Potentially.
New face?
They're not added in here though. Like
Hmm.
in the Discord, so unnamed currently. But yeah, Red Flags is sitting at 14 plays all time. Jameson Heals Me is at 13.
Oh, that's number 2?
Yeah.
Wow.
Answering the Call to Responsibility is 12. I didn't think that would go very well. Social Anxiety is 11. Depression, my second talk, was also 11. I have a video titled Miscellaneous, like one January 16th, and somehow that's at 11 plays, and then Social Environment. And then like the rest
What are
of
you
it,
talking about in
I don't
that one?
know. I can't remember. I'd have to look over like what I had said, but um yeah, it's so far a bit over the place, I
Sure.
guess. The red flags for sure. I don't that might be what people want to hear. I'm not too sure. It's hard for me to know.
Okay.
uh yeah, so I guess a little note as we're starting up. So I did mention that I had some podcasts out of order. I did one on Friday, and that one was about like taking agency. And so that one was titled The 48th, which I then realized as I was listening over that I mentioned yours was also titled for the 48th one. This is the
Oh, did we
47th
fix
one.
that? 47. Okay.
Yeah. So I wasn't going to mess with the order. I just figured, you know, you had this planned way earlier than I did when I did my other one. So
You could have. I don't really care, honestly.
we good, though.
No preference either way.
What'd you think of the
Um,
album?
I
Or
enjoyed
does.
it.
Okay.
Um, it's actually. Hmm, what other albums? We did Logic, Jameson, and Keshi.
Yeah.
Aside from, I would say, Keshi was the most. Um, definitely was the most like the artist that I knew the most about prior to the review. This one is definitely as far as we've had so far, the artist whose genre I'm the most familiar with. Um I enjoyed it. I like it.
This
Just like
one,
general thoughts.
besides Keshi, is the one you've had like the most background knowledge of.
Yeah, mostly this genre. So like a little more like alt rock, metal sort of um influence.
Right
Yeah, for
on.
sure.
Well, uh, okay. Yeah, I'm sure. You want to do an introduction for it? I was gonna speak on behalf of my listening experience, but I think I'm getting ahead of myself.
Sure, I'll do a quick intro. Welcome to the Healthy Dialogue podcast. Welcome to Music Discussion. I'm Alon. This is Spencer, and this week we're talking about the album Stargazer by the band Moodring. This is a new-ish Florida alt-rock band. I know the lead singer and guitarist has been in some other bands. I haven't explored them as much, but definitely in the genre of like shoegaze rock, alt rock, um, some like new metal influence as well. So yeah, welcome. Initial thoughts,
Definitely not
questions,
my general
wheelhouse.
music diet. Definitely not a part of my like general music diet in terms of the genre itself.
Hmm.
I wouldn't even know what you categorize that. Is that just normal metal or
It's
rock metal?
okay. They're like okay. Genres are weird. I don't like a lot of labeling of genres personally because you can sound however you want to sound, but genres are kind of there to guide you onto what expect from a
Oh,
sound.
okay, right.
So like I would generally categorize them as like alternative rock, heavy rock. Um there's also back in like the early late 90s, early 2000s came this wave of um artists that were popular on the radio, and they were known as or at least categorized as new metal. So new metal is sort of this genre of um, taking the traditional aspects of metal and adding like other sprinkles of genres into the metal genre. So like the most popular band from this era was Linkin Park. You probably know Linkin Park.
Yep.
Um, they took elements of heavy metal, heavy rock, and added elements of like hip hop, rap, things like that. So, and it can be anything. It doesn't have to be hip hop and rap. It can be like maybe I'm taking a little bit of pop and sprinkling it in. I'm taking even like jazz. If you add jazz into the metal genre, it can be considered new metal, just not traditionally new metal. It was mostly rap during the early 2000s. Also, like oh, what's that band's name? Like Limp Bizkit. Did you ever listen to Limp Bizkit?
Limp
Limp
Biscuit.
Bizkit, like rolling, 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 rolling. That band.
Uh,
Break stuff with Snoop Dogg was in the music video.
Snoop
Singing it.
Dogg.
Linkin Park's the big one. You only need to know Linkin Park, at least
Okay.
now. Um, they did, yeah, like this weird, like it wasn't really weird. It was weird for the time, but it was like this, like talky, talk scream kind of vocal style with like heavy distorted guitars in the background. So that's basically the gist of what new metal is.
Okay.
Yeah, and these guys are definitely some of the songs are new metal-esque for sure.
Right on. I see Teddy in the audience. Does he want to come up here in case he did do
Listen
the
to it.
homework?
I don't know if you listen to it or not.
You could do like live listens as we listen to the like each of the songs though.
I was wondering that if you wanted to do instead of like a podcast, we could do like a live reaction, yeah, live listen, and maybe just not have listened to, oh, and maybe just not have listened to the album beforehand.
Okay.
Um,
Like the thing is with at least with this genre, this album, I've I didn't really have I don't have any notes to take, to be honest.
okay,
Like for the most part, each of them have um I just show oh, okay. Never mind. I just saw what I just saw what Teddy said. But yeah, so with like this genre of music, I wouldn't know what to really write. Like each of them I
okay.
enjoyed like the songs themselves, but like the actual meaningful criticisms that I could have towards like the songs and how they were composed, I just wouldn't be able to speak on behalf of
We
those.
could we could mix it up. Maybe the next one, especially for genres. like a live reaction of a genre that you know better than me, like if it's like a little more electronic or maybe more pop, um, I would be more I would be more into like a live reaction because I wouldn't be taking more notes. But like vice
Yeah.
versa for you and metal. Like I don't know.
I don't know. It's just like listening styles, right? At least for
Hmm.
me, like I will when I casually listen to music, it's not like I think about the same at the same depth as you do about the music that you listen to. So
Sure.
I think the note taking it was more of an activity for you that I just adopted as I was listening to music through these different music discussions. And I think that it's worked out pretty well because I've had a lot to talk about with
Hmm.
some of these other ones. But when I listen to this metal, or I guess when I listen to metal, it's more about like the sounds in total. Like I
Okay.
think less about the lyrics and more about the music or like the what I'm hearing. And the lyrics are like a part of that, not like separate.
I would agree with your approach. There's nothing wrong with it. That's how I feel about metal too. Like if we're talking maybe more pop, hip hop, rap, like those genres tend to centralize like heavy lyrics. So like for the Logic album and the Keshi album, for example, we delved like heavy into the lyrics
Right.
because well, like Keshi has nice instrumentals. I would say like a lot of raps instrumentals don't change a lot, so at least throughout a typical song, depending on the artist, obviously.
Right.
But like that's what I did with this album. I didn't take a ton of notes. I just listened to it, picked out my favorites, um, maybe little notes about um, you know switching up the instrumental every now and then. But I didn't take a lot of notes. I just enjoyed it. There's nothing wrong with that.
Okay. But yeah, I guess for me, like I looked at the lyrics for I think the second song on the list, and I don't know
Not
why
intro
it
song.
was hard for me to like translate that for something that was meaningful to me. So
Okay.
translation, as in like trying to understand from I don't know a story point of view, like where this is going. But perhaps I just was unmotivated. Unmotivated. I was too taken away from the the song itself, detached from the lyrics. I mean, in total, I do have to admit, like I didn't. It's not that I didn't enjoy any of the songs. Like I thought they were all like headbangers, but
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
for me, it's like I couldn't distinguish one between the other. I guess in to some extent. Like
Okay.
I'd be happy if they were on the radio and they played like a couple times.
Yeah.
Like it's something that I'd probably listen on repeat.
I definitely want to listen to it again because I feel like I missed some stuff. It's very a lot of the songs have a very abstract, open-ended um like subject matter, and I'm actually reading the Genius right now. It's a unreviewed bio, but someone said that the lead vocalist uh named the title of the album Stargazer because um who is David Michael Fassbender? Is that a band member? Okay, I'll read it out loud. Um, Stargazer refers to a ball python named David Michael Fassbender. Oh, that's the name of the ball python. that the lead vocalist owned, who passed away before the release of the album. And the lead vocalist Hunter Young explains in the interview that was linked here that the snake had a neurological condition that caused him to often get stuck facing the ceiling for a long time, which I recognize as one of the vocal lyrics. Stargazing is what we called it. So, um,
Inspired
dedicated to
by
his pet
a
snake.
ball python. You know, I had to I had to look up what that meant. That's
Oh
actually
yeah,
just like an actual snake.
snake.
I was like,
Yeah,
is that in reference to like something else? Or
a lyric.
yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
um, uh, if we're to take this album very abstractly, um, there's a lot of ties you could have the lyrics to stargazing, like just as an activity. So I went stargazing actually, like in camping, like a couple weeks ago, and I don't know how you approach stargazing, but stargazing to me feels like, like kind of like an escape, kind of. Uh, we're so fascinated by the night sky that we take. I don't know. For me, sometimes it's just like emotions rush through. You kind of just let your mind wander. Um, you think about the purpose of your life. I don't know. You think about um, your whole place in the universe as you peer off into um, the sky, which is a giant picture of how small you are
So
in comparison
is
to everything else. So
okay. So in terms of like actual stargazing, do you focus in on the infinite sky that you're looking at? Is that the actual activity, or is stargazing the experience of looking up into the expansive universe and making, I don't know, connections, generating thoughts in your own mind to understand your place in the world?
I would definitely lean towards the latter. I think um,
So stargazing is an
the
experience.
yeah, I think the three head version of it is ooh pretty stars, but at the same time, we're also like there's nothing bothering me there in that moment, right? It's completely silent. All you hear is whatever animals, the wind. No one's bothering you, and yeah, you're just there. I hate using this word, but you're just vibing out. But yeah, definitely the latter of what you mentioned.
I think that experience aspect to, or experience definition of stargazing, I think uh, puts some of his lyrics, or their lyrics, excuse me, their lyrics into perspective. I mean, even the
Mm,
first one of Disintegrate is I feel God teasing us. So if it's not an activity, at least it's a experience of various things that you can imagine and don't imagine,
hmm
or I guess just imagine. You experience like realistically and imaginatively.
Yeah. Do you want to? Have you ever been stargazing? I guess I should ask that immediately before we delve into the track by track.
I think it's more of like an activity, I guess. Like it's not something that I go actively seek out to
Same.
me. I think I can stargaze I can experience stargazing in a sense when I'm like in my bed, right?
Right.
And I'm definitely not looking up out into space. But so I guess to that regard, like yeah, but as an activity, not really. Like I've maybe done it like a handful of times, but
Sure.
you know, the experience when I actually go do stargazing as an activity doesn't really It's not that it's not inspiring, it's just I'm not like as creative when I'm there.
Okay.
I think I'm like too focused in on like other things. Like the animals, or perhaps like I don't have the creative like tool set that's being brought along as I'm looking up at the stars.
I don't think it's necessarily having to be creative. I think it's just kind of letting your mind wander. It feels a lot like I don't know. It feels a lot like if you're going on like a lazy river on like a little inner tube.
Right.
You're floating along. That's a similar experience. You're just kind of you're kind of looking around. Maybe you're thinking a bit more. Like, oh, is my ass gonna hit the rock underneath me or um, whatnot?
No, for sure. The way you just phrased it of letting your mind wander, I definitely don't do that when I actually go pursue
Or
stargazing as an
like
activity.
camping
But
or
I
something. Okay,
definitely experience stargazing in other environments.
for sure. Is there anything else that I wanted to talk to? Let's just go track by track, I think, at this point.
I mean, the things that
Cool.
you highlight will be stuff that I can build off of. It's just,
Sure.
I, again, I didn't have any notes. I didn't know what to take.
Yeah. Alright, Disintegrate. I like this one. I like this one. I like the intro track too, leading into Disintegrate. Um, I have this weird gripe, I guess, sometimes about um full albums in that if it's an intro track that doesn't have I mean, it's also an artistic statement, right? I guess it's something I don't understand immediately. I know it comes full circle. The intro track titled "How to Leave Painlessly," and then in Xeno, the last track, it's a lyric in that track as well. So that's a dot I definitely need to connect on a second or third listen. But sometimes we'll have like an intro track or an intermission that's like, if it's like after a track or if it's short enough before the next full track, I would want it to be a part of that track. I don't know if, like I said, I probably listen to more full albums and you listen to more like, oh, like pick your singles out. But this is something I've definitely noticed listening to music more. But Disintegrate's great. I enjoyed this one. Uh, I don't have a ton to say, honestly. It kind of follows the theme of this abstract activity, or if you're a person who is, stargazer that seeks out this sort of mind expansive activity.
Sure. Okay. So let me ask like a more abstract question then. Like what do you look for in like metal music? And with like this song in particular, is it just the theme matchup is like the requirement for when you're listening to albums like these?
I think something I really this is just personal preference. It has nothing to do with what's good and what's bad. I like the really, at least in this album, I like the really like driving guitars. I like how I don't know, the sound is very loud, like it's very present. A lot of it's up front in your face. Um and it doesn't feel like any like effect or additional instrument is like too far back that you have to re-listen to it to not notice it, or to notice it. Sorry. Um, it's kind of this like it's heavy, but it's also like okay, there's clean vocals, right? You have unclean vocals, which are typically like screaming, uh, more harsh vocals, things like that. But these guys use a lot of clean vocals with a lot of vocal effects that you know, kind of match this central theme of stargazing. In addition to that, yeah, like driving guitars, um nothing too overly complicated in terms of guitars. And that's what I think I want out of an album like this. Um it's simple, it gets to the point. It's not like if I'm listening to some other artist and they're shredding it up, I can appreciate that, but that's not what I'm coming for when I approach like something like new metal, right? I don't you don't go I don't think Linkin Park maybe had one song with a guitar solo in it per album, and that was it. Everything else was, you know, pretty stripped back, pretty simple in terms of like chord progression, things like that. So I hope that answered your question.
I suppose it's yeah, yeah. I mean, I guess I don't really have too much to say. It's just, I guess in like previous ones or previous like music discussions, we had some, I guess, deep analysis of the lyrics, but um,
Right.
it's especially for this album, there's a decentralized point off of the lyrics and more into the actual sounds, which I don't know if the in like a podcast setting it'd be great to, it's not saying that like this is a bad one to go for. I definitely think this is like a great one to go for, but how do you explain the experience of listening to a more instrumental genre? I guess what you feel through that, and I think the way you answered that was perfect.
Okay. Yeah.
But
I
as for me,
focus. Go ahead.
like I'm kind of at a loss for words because it's not like my normal cup of tea. So
Right.
how do I explain the musical experience, instrumental experience that I got on top of the different vocal style?
Yeah, you can talk about um like the vocal melody too. I in this genre I like a lot. It's a little more like wavy. It's a little more the notes on the guys are very much drawn out. So let's make it up. We'll play pretend. In that chorus, he kind of drags out pretend, and then it goes into the next line. But um, that stuff, it's catchy too, right? I think it's catchy. So
Right.
um, I like catchy stuff.
One
And
point.
there's nothing wrong with your perspective of oh music sound good, yes, and that's all you have to think about. But yeah, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I don't know. For me, like the songs just kind of blend together in terms of like the repeating pattern of it sounded great for me. So
Hmm.
that's like my perspective on it. But something that you did mention that I think adds an element of appreciation that I can talk about is the soft vocals. I think when it comes to metal, I picture way too much or like over the I guess the hard vocals, or how, what was that term that you used? Is it actually like
It's
hard vocal?
typically called like unclean vocals. You could say
Oh,
harsh
sorry.
vocals too.
Okay. Harsh
There's nothing
vocals.
wrong. Yeah.
Yeah, I think with most like metal tracks, like the harsh vocals like hits too hard for me. But I think
Sure.
the use of, I guess, the proportion of clean to harsh in this one was pleasant for me, I suppose.
That that is duly noted in Alon's book. I'm glad to hear that though. Typically people wouldn't be. I know a lot of people there. I mean, we had an upbringing, right? We had like a lot of like heavier-ish pop punk on the radio growing up. Like we had Linkin Park, which is the biggest one, but also
Right.
we had like oh, who do we have? Like a lot of emo stuff. Like um I know, like even like Fallout Boy and Fallout Boy Red Jumpsuit Apparatus. I want to say My Chemical Romance. Bands like that still have like like a very small portion of harsh vocal, but it's still there, right?
Mm,
And people listen to it. It's on the radio, so
yeah.
there's got to be an appeal. Maybe it's used as a tool more effectively in
The harsh
these
vocals,
type of
you
genres.
think?
Yeah, because there are metal albums that have just a harsh vocalist, and that's it all the way through. So um, I don't know.
I just think the proportions need to be like right. I think most
Yeah,
everyone can understand like a bit of like a need to yell, or maybe not even a need to yell, but like have some threshold at like what yelling can like portray emotion in the context of a song,
for sure.
right? And I think the balance between the clean vocals versus the yelling ends up being what dictates your um interpretation of the song, and
Hmm.
what might count as like within your threshold of what's worth listening to, or what's like pleasant. And
Hmm.
I think this one did it right, or was like within my threshold.
Nice. A band I forget that I should have mentioned earlier is Rage Against the Machine. Harsh vocals. Those boys are always mad though, so it's fine. But I mean, Rage is in their title. But they have. They're also kind of new metal too. They have this like very blend of like hip hop, rap, heavy guitar riffs, smack you in the face, kind of heavy bass licks too. So that would be leaning. They're in new metal territory, but they're leaning into more like heavy metal in terms of that like intense emotion, that strong emotion. So yeah. Um, on here, I can name off my favorites. I took notes of my favorites. I really like Disintegrate. I liked Peel. Stargazer was great. The self-titled track. Um, Sync.wave, Novocaine Bones, and Xeno were the standouts for me. Um, I would like to say I've listened to Sync.wave before. I'm just putting that out there because I think it was the lead single for the album. And it was my introduction to the band's album or to the band in general. And dude, I jammed that. I still jam that. That song's very catchy. Um, did you have any standout favorites?
um, the thing
Just
is
kind of
that
going
the
through.
three I'm probably thinking of one song, but I remember having a pleasant experience, like the most pleasant experience between Red Light Gossip, Peel, and Stargazer. So
Hmm.
one of those three like did it for me, and I'm kind of ashamed that I don't remember which one it is, but
Okay.
I guess that speaks to the kind of blend that I experienced when I was listening to the album.
Some of them like really transitioned into each other. I like that, but some people might not like it because they want each track to be, I guess, more distinct. But
Right.
there's some great transitions between these songs that I'm like listening. I was doing dishes during like the first part of the album, the first half, and I'm like trying to look over and see the difference between the track every now and then if it was a really smooth transition. So um I do want to point out, and this is something I can talk to you about later, but it's more for if someone from the audience like recognized this in the album if they'd listened to it prior. Constrict. There's like a melody in the song Constrict, the third track. Um, I think it's in the chorus, and it's not identical, but it's very reminiscent of the song Figure 9 from Linkin Park. So already that influence is uh, very prevalent in this album. Um, Another popular artist that these guys are very influenced by is Deftones. These are names I'm rattling out that Spencer doesn't know, but
Yep.
Deftones are this out. Yeah, like so. Maybe we listen to Deftones sometime, but they're kind of the. I don't think they started the genre, but they popularized it a lot, and they're this like a heavy metal alt rock kind of band, similar sound to these guys, and they popularized the genre shoegaze, 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 and it's this genre that kind of takes, like I said earlier, a lot of the instrumental is very upfront, heavy guitar distortion, a lot of like guitar modulation effects as well. So like super wavy, like I don't know how to explain this to Spencer too. Like reverb, um, uh, when you take a guitar tone and mess with its, it's typically a sine wave, and you mess with some of the like peaks and valleys of that wave and like that. They do the similar thing with their vocals as well. It's very it's overwhelming. It's in your face, but it's also like it's melodic. It's wavy. Is my best way to say it, and I don't know. Atmospheric is another key word. A lot of the vocals are very obscured behind the instrumental as well. Um, but a good portion of these tracks are shoegaze. So yeah, they kind of lie. They kind of lie behind that um, influence. But yeah, um, big fan of sync.wave. Like I said, it's really nice when there's like these chugging guitars in sync.wave, and then it's a very like open chorus. So they have this like almost build. It's like a build up chorus, like the drummer's going off in a very like build up pattern. I don't know how to better explain that. And then they bring it up, and the last chorus is just driving. I get goosebumps. I get goosebumps when I listen to that track. I still listen to it because big fan, but they come in full force with the chorus with the driving guitars as opposed to like this build up with a very minimal guitar section. So I think that wave's a banger. Um, yeah, I don't have much to say beyond that.
Any other parts of the track? I mean, I guess I already explained my part, so really this is just you driving at this point. If there's
Sure.
anything like any of the other tracks that conceptually you wanted to put down in the dialogue. But as for me, like I'm just here to follow up. But in
Yeah.
terms of what you just said, most of the stuff would go over my head.
Yeah, for sure.
So, excuse me.
Um, I don't know if you wanted to bring up. How did you feel about the last track? I love the last track, but how did you feel about it?
It didn't stand up for me, if that's what you're asking about. I like
Okay.
for the most part, like I enjoyed all of them. So,
Okay.
was there like particular lyrics that should have came off to me?
It felt like so the first track was How to Leave Painlessly, and it was kind of this instrumental uh
Right,
intro,
right.
but the last one has a lyric that says How to Leave Painlessly. So I'm wondering if we can get like a deeper understanding of okay, so this last song, Xeno Foreign Love. I don't know what Xeno means. Let me look that up real quick. But For the foreign love aspect of it, oh, it just relates to foreigners. Okay. The general gist of this track and the lyrics seem to allude towards either a breakup, people trying to get back together, and either the lead singer or the writer of the song recognizing that, um, you know, this relationship is beyond repair. We kind of have to part ways. Lyrics like, we cannot mend with the damage done. My former love, we've said too much. Can't even look at you anymore. You know, um,
I guess one piece of context that I should actually add about my experience is that I partially watched the music videos while I was listening to the album. And that's just
oh,
part of being able to see like on YouTube or actively listen and watch on YouTube. And so I think that idea, I don't know. There were some songs in there that portrayed like a woman and being like in an intimate moment with that or with them. And so it
oh,
was
some of them
hard to tell
have,
the
yeah.
actual gist of it because very much like the music genre as you described, it's like up in your face with a lot of things, and the music video was no exception. So
Okay, yeah.
like being a part of that intimate moment while they're like singing about it was just, you know, I guess it's in character of what you just mentioned of like being in a breakup.
Part of me wonders if it was sort of kind of like a getting back together moment, as a lot of these tracks go along, like spending time maybe with this person that either you know is leaving or you know it's not going to work out. Maybe it's like a last ditch effort to rekindle something that was previously put out. But um definitely some of the things I could draw from at least the lyrics in the my initial listen. In the last track, he says, "Keep it in my heart, the part that bleeds. Now I see how to leave painlessly." So he's understanding that maybe this like romantic rendezvous was a mistake. Like, oh, if I'm to leave painlessly, this is what not to do. This is the album that tells you what not to do with your ex, essentially, or your previous lover. So,
Is it the
um,
realization that getting back together isn't the right solution? And going forward, he'll be reminded by that lesson.
I
And the
think some of that.
painlessly is to not experience the desire that like controlled his life.
Experiences that, or even like not necessarily experience, but chase that desire. Um, and maybe that desire was no longer prevalent in his life, and I don't know. Maybe something happened. Maybe people change.
I, th-
So
I think the lyrics leading up into the painlessly part, which is how to leave painlessly, I think contradicts perhaps that statement.
which
Because is
statement?
it I don't consider leaving painlessly as a act of preventing yourself from making the same mistake, but rather when you're in the mistake again, how to leave with like confidence.
Okay, is that sort of okay? So maybe he has this relationship that he's going through. They break up. They get back together. And are you saying like now he knows maybe like now he knows himself more, in that he knows more what to expect from his emotions, because this could be like a
I think the lesson might have been completely
thing.
different than what I conceptualize. I think it's probably more of a how to detach your desires from, I guess, what's good for you.
Right. I agree with that.
Which it might have actually been the same thing of what you said before. I think I just didn't properly connect that with my own idea. So do you think he's losing something while he's leaving painlessly or learning how to leave painlessly?
Maybe it's an element of it is um recognizing that this loss is something that comes with leaving, and maybe he didn't let that go initially with whatever relationship he had previously.
Okay.
I'm reading the lyrics. Like Constrict talks about almost having like him wanting his significant other to admit either the end, or it says, spit it out, speak up, for once let it out. You recite the lines when you stare at the ground. I'm not hearing your words. Spit it out, speak up, for once just let it out. Um, and maybe it's he's already heard the we're breaking up esque sort of lines, and he still wants to feel comfort from this person who probably can no longer provide it, given their current feelings about their encounter. Um, a lot of references to drugs in this album too. How to Leave Painlessly, but the second to last track is Novocaine Bones, and Novocaine is an anesthetic, so we're numbing the pain essentially in that track. Um, there's a lot of sexy time songs too here. Like Nike was very very explicit.
Uh,
Um,
I mean, again, for
God's watching.
me, with like the genre of the songs, just or rather the genre itself and the presentation of the song in total and the lyrics that go along with it is I, I'm disconnected with the words, I guess.
Sure. Well, like the
So
words can also be are also very due to the genre. Um, like the words are very not up front and center like pop is. Like pop, the vocals are so forward. Oh, like especially like rap too, but that's the main draw of rap. Pop, the vocals are very forward, and instrumental is very stripped back behind my ears. So I guess that's I understand that difference you've had. We don't have to delve into the lyrics. I think we got most of the gist of
sure. I
what's
just
going
wanted to
on.
talk about like the proportions then of like if you have this story to tell through this genre style,
Hmm.
do you think people really take away from the lyrics that of the story that you're trying to tell. Like how do you I understand it's like the way they'd want to present this story.
Hmm.
But in terms of like the loud music that goes along with it and the different like vocal styles when you're performing a song, like how does that like where does the story fit in with the song?
I think up front with this genre, the vocal melody and the instrumental are things that are also purposefully just immediate, right? They're I think they lie before the lyrics, uh, and they're also potentially more prevalent than the lyrics. I think the sound is more what they're trying to get people to not relate to, but catch on to. Um, and the
How
lyrics
easy,
are
sorry.
there, I guess, to accompany that.
How easy is it to like pay attention to that in the midst of the rest of it? Like is that part of the point?
I don't think it's part of. I guess it's how you define point. It's more like understanding different styles of music and how, like, like if I'm listening to a jazz album, is the point to not like the point isn't that they don't have lyrics, right? The point is that it's a different. It's not a point, but like the purpose of it is that it's a different genre, and I don't think I think with art, this might be going even broader. The artist can ask for different interpretations, and it's up to you to interpret it yourself and pick out what you like. But at the same time, they also have their meanings behind it.
Sure.
So
So when do you think if you're someone who genuine okay, do you think there are people out there who pick up on the lyrics in the midst of the rest of what the song has to present? Like in terms of like
yes,
uniquely identifying the lyrics as the like the song is
as they're
showcasing
coming.
them. Yeah.
Yes, but also if a metal band, a heavier metal band, wanted you to immediately pick up on their lyrics, they would almost explicitly do so in a way that was, I want to say, leaning towards unavoidable to understanding lyrics. Because I listen to the even the harsher vocal lyrics, and yeah, if you're really wondering, I catch like half of it, like upon first listen. I don't tune in to the lyrics. Like if it's a purely harsh vocal song, I am I am dedicating like equal attention to everything else. Maybe even definitely leaning towards guitars, um, as opposed to the lyrics. So like when I listen to Sync.wave for the first time, I'm just going through it. I'm listening to how it sounds, how everything complements each other, and it wasn't until like my eighth listen that I decided to delve into the lyrics. At least when it comes to this genre. So, but
Okay.
that's just me, right?
Right.
I think that goes for a lot of metal listeners, though. If you already like the genre, you know what you like about the genre, and you know what you're looking for in other artists, or not looking for. Something could take you entirely for surprise. Um, but Yeah, as opposed to something like rap. Like rap, I'm listening to the lyrics. I'm trying to understand the million and one references they have. But at the same time, because the instrumental in a lot of rap is just, it's sometimes it's throwaway, whatever. Sometimes it's really good, and if it's really good, that's something I'll notice. But the main draw of rap is the lyrics, is the vocal patterns, it's the flow of the rapper, things like that. So I'm listening to metal, something that provides, and in their like equalizer, they're balancing these guitars very heavily and up front. Yeah, I'm gonna draw on the guitars.
Right on.
Cool.
Okay. Any other parts of the album you wanted to speak on behalf of?
I think that's it. That's all the notes I took, at least. So
Foreign love, foreign
yeah.
touch. Oh, excuse me.
I'm also trying to, in the back of my mind, understand the reference to the ball python is neurological. I guess maybe that neurological condition that the ball python, the snake, is going through is maybe being related to this interaction between these the relationship between these two people, in that they're doing something that they shouldn't be, and does that relate to having some sort of, you know lack of, not maybe, like, I just want to say lack of common sense, but also relating to some neurological condition,
You
like,
think they're
oh,
just
we're not,
exploring? So okay. You
they're
think it's like,
stargazing, Spencer.
well,
They're
right.
stargazing.
Is it
No.
a wandering mind kind of experience? You think
Right.
that's what the ball python is doing once they start experiencing this what was it? The problem when they start like rolling their head back?
Yeah, I think they're also trying to, we try, as humans, we try to relate our experience to what other animals experience, and that's kind of the
Ah,
parallel they're
well
drawing
put. Yeah.
between um, the python and its relationship. So definitely a second listen for me in the works. Yeah,
I don't know if I'll probably listen to it again. I just won't know what to listen for, you know?
we could do like a co-listen to a few tracks. I don't know if you'd want to do that, but I'd be down.
Okay.
Cool.
I guess we'll call it from there. I don't know.
Yo,
Wow, that actually took an hour, despite like how little like stuff I had to say for that. But I think we ventured off into more abstract ideas when it came to
I had to
listening.
get my metal rant off.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, if you have more to if more come up, I'll be on the lookout too. But I guess for
I
me,
was
it's
actually thinking we could do the new Beyonce album
oh
next.
shit. Okay.
That might be fun.
I was also thinking
But
we should delve into Millennium, even though it may
yeah,
not be like
I
a
would.
new music, or it won't be like new, but rather it'd be new for us.
Yeah, delve into. Well, you're more familiar with the genre, so I was saying, yeah, give me a genre I'm not as familiar to.
Okay.
Do we do country? I don't know.
Oh, new to both of us too.
Yeah, new to both of us. I'm not the biggest fan of country, so it'll be a good experience. At least eye opening for sure. But yeah,
All right, right
cool,
on. I
cool.
guess we'll conclude for now. Thanks for listening. I see you,
Yep. Thanks
Jared.
for listening.
See you guys next week.